Get out, I hate you, you disgusting bitch. Those were the last words I spoke to my wife Cindy, the woman I adored for 7 years, before our brief meeting in divorce court a few months later. That was a different conversation, but more on that later. I never expected this to happen to us. We seemed destined for life. 7 years isn't that long in reality, but we looked like the perfect couple, and I never doubted her fidelity, right up until the moment I realized what a complete fool I had been. She slept with the actor right at the awards ceremony in Cannes, in the south of France. She worked for a high-profile agency that represented some A-list actors. That, my friends, was the road to her temptation and our destruction as a couple. Why they were stupid enough to invite me on this trip to the Mediterranean is beyond me. They apparently just felt so confident that they assumed I would accept what was handed to me. We made a mistake. I won't name the predatory piece of shit that seduced her and made her his. Why? Because some people paid me very well to keep quiet about their secret, to protect it, to get her out of my life, for financial gain only, no alimony. She gave up all rights to our joint assets, and I'm guessing that she is compensated either by this scumbag or by her employers at the agency. I don't care if she starves to death, you traitorous bitch. I have to mention him to tell this story, but I'll call him Tim. Do you know any famous actors named Tim? No, I don't know either, so Tim will do it. Sorry to the little Tims who may be offended by my inattention. Just $5 million in compensation for me to sign a non-disclosure agreement, plus getting rid of her, and without cost to our assets, seemed like a good deal to me. Yes, there was a personal cost, but there are 5 million reasons to be pragmatic. I was already financially secure, but that amount of money secretly paid overseas was too attractive to resist, considering I was going to throw it away anyway, even if I had to give her half of our assets to get rid of her. My name is Jeff Smithers, and I am a very angry man who will soon be single, although I didn't know it when this story began, still a part of Jeff and Cindy. What I hate is being deceived, and that's how I was. I own a consulting business, and it has been a labor of love. I built it from the ground up over 10 years, and it is running successfully and paying for most of what supports Cindy and I's lifestyle. I saw this coming and made her sign a prenuptial agreement that kept the business out of our shared assets. Thank God for that, although she would still have to give that up too. I have a good customer base and many repeat orders from large companies. My future is secure in this regard. So problem then, lovely Cindy. Yes, she was beautiful, completely captured my heart. I thought we were a golden couple, and she cheated on me, probably because he's famous. What a damn cliché. Cindy was and is beautiful. I thought she was beautiful inside and out, but how wrong is a fool in love? We were both 29 years old, 7 years married, 2 years of dating before that. She'd been with the agency for 8 years, worked her way up to the point where she was now closely involved with some of the biggest clients, none more than Tim, obviously. If I hadn't been so in love and trusting of her, there would have been signs that I might have noticed. When she was told that she would be working at least partially with Tim as a client, she was incredibly excited, telling me how lucky she was, how handsome he was, and what a really nice, down-to-earth guy. All signs of infatuation, but because I trusted her with my life, I was too blind to see any danger. She was asked to travel with him when he traveled around TV networks to promote his latest film. She was excited, and I didn't want to ruin her plans by protesting her long absences, a week here, 10 days there, even a trip to the major European capitals along the route, London, Berlin, Rome, Madrid, and of course Paris. It was an 18-day trip, but I was happy for it. If anyone loved her job, it was Cindy, the opportunity to rub shoulders with some very famous names. I had no idea that my marriage was about to fail. A few months later, she was still full of excitement from travel and the stars, and one evening she returned home with big news. Jeff, I have great news today. Tim's film is nominated for an award at the Cannes Film Festival. I will be part of the group that will go. I am very excited to be a part of it and will be at the awards ceremony. My agency is even giving me a big budget for evening dresses for the ceremony and parties. Her face fell a little when my reaction was subdued. I thought I was fair about the amount of time she had already been traveling for a promotional tour. I just said a rather neutral, "Oh, what's wrong, Jeff? I thought you'd be happy for me that I got this opportunity." She was a little upset, but nothing could dampen her mood. "Cindy, the thing is I really missed you when you were on your promotional tour. I hate being away from you, and it's been a few weeks over 3 months. However, of course, I know you have to go, and moreover, I know what you really want." I let it hang in the air before adding, "I just hope you find time for your husband after this." Cindy looked a little offended, but didn't say anything. The fact that she didn't say anything in response gave me the first little clue that there might be more going on than I thought. It didn't last long because she surprised me the next day by calling me to say that the agency would pay for me to travel with the group as a thank you for letting her be away from home for many months. She said it would be 2 weeks, all first class and free for me if I could put my case aside, and I quickly agreed. A free trip to France, I couldn't pass it up. I made a few changes to the dates, scheduled some remote work with some clients, and freed up some needed time. If I had known then what I know now, I would have gladly stayed at home, but then I still thought that I had a faithful wife. In each fighting, there is a silver lining, even if it seems like crap at the time. So we went to France, to the beautiful city of Cannes on the Côte d'Azur, down the coast from Monaco, and the big city in the area, Nice. The festival usually takes place in May and lasts 11 or 12 days. We stayed in a luxury 5-star hotel with a room overlooking the famous plage du Midi, where famous, especially beautiful actresses, are photographed with the Bay of Cannes in the background. I knew that Cindy would be busy with the group, maximizing publicity, and as the most beautiful woman in the group, including a famous actress, she would serve partly as press decoration. I had work that I could do online, but most of the time I entertained myself. My time with Cindy was minimal, but I wasn't worried one bit. I assumed all her cooing about being involved with Tim was excitement at meeting such a famous person, but ultimately it was her job. My first moment of real concern was when she returned to the room to change for the afternoon shoot on the beach. She was essentially an ornament for the main cast. We've been there for 5 days now, and nothing out of the ordinary has happened. She came out of the bathroom wearing a bikini. Well, I should say a bikini. It was actually just a few pieces of dental floss, and not much of anything covered up. I was shocked. I had never seen this before. "What the hell is it, Cindy? You're not going out in public wearing this, are you?" I said in surprise. "Where did you get that?" "It's a gift from Tim. He said it would make the press photos hot. It's part of my job here, Jeff. Please don't make it out to be something it's not." She at least looked a little embarrassed, but showed no signs of changing her clothes. "Damn, Cindy, I don't want half of France, much less our friends back home, to see you like this. You look like a woman of easy virtue," I said before I thought, and she grabbed the cape and walked away furious from my words. I decided to leave her alone, got to work, and ordered a light lunch through room service. Our room had a small terrace overlooking the plage du Midi, so I took lunch there and spotted Cindy and her group happily posing for dozens of photographers, professional and amateur. From 30 or so meters from our terrace, she almost appeared naked. She also never moved more than a few feet from Tim. I noticed his arm around her waist several times. It was unpleasant to watch, but there was no obvious sign of anything indecent. I continued to watch, and when the posing was over, several people, including Cindy and Tim, headed towards the sea, while the rest returned to the hotel. It was not far from the embankment to the sea, so it was easy to follow what was happening from my point of view. Again, nothing overtly wrong, but eventually, after they had been at sea, I saw her walking back to the embankment. He hugged her the whole way. I didn't like what I saw. It looked like something lovers did and didn't pass the spouse test one bit. I was officially worried about my marriage for the first time ever. My mood didn't improve when another 45 minutes passed before she returned to the room. I frowned at her and shrugged. "What?" she said, looking surprised at my reaction. "What's wrong?" "Cindy, Tim bought this for you. You're wearing it for him. or at best you're wearing it for work, not for me. Besides, I saw you and Tim walking down the beach. He hugged you the whole way. And if that wasn't enough, you crossed the road to the hotel 45 minutes before you got here. Where were you?" Again, she blushed before responding, "What are you implying, Jeff? What are you accusing me of? You know it's a job, right? Jeff, I do my job. Yes, Tim is attractive, but that's all. Nothing's happening. Honey, I'm working." I decided to bite my tongue. I think her explanation was almost possible, but she obviously spent a lot of time with Tim, and they were obviously very comfortable with each other. Was she just really good at her job? She was saying there was a discussion about a big bonus for how she handled things for Tim's team. That was the last big thing this movie would cause. Maybe in a month, I'll feel stupid for thinking something wasn't so. So the next day was an important day. It was the night when the first awards for his film began. I was not involved in this. I was there as an addition and had nothing to do with the big events. Cindy put on a gorgeous dress and looked absolutely stunning. My heart was beating fast as she left for the event. I knew she would probably be sitting next to Tim. I hoped that my heart wouldn't be broken anytime soon. The festival received extensive coverage on French television, so I didn't have to wait long for confirmation that Cindy was not only sitting next to Tim, but appeared to be leaning against him. My fears only grew. Tim received the award, and I received a message inviting me to the next party. Everything went to hell there. Things started out fine. A few drinks turned into many drinks. As midnight approached, some started to leave, and I saw Cindy heading towards the ladies' room. To my surprise, Tim came over to talk to me for the first time. We never spoke, and I doubted that we had anything in common, but from his first line, I realized that we really did have something in common: sex with my wife. "Hey, Jeff, your wife is gorgeous. You're lucky. I've loved sleeping with her the last few months." I was inclined to beat him to a pulp. I'm a big guy, probably 25 pounds heavier and 3 inches taller, and I had intense anger on my side. However, I wanted to know everything, so with great difficulty I asked him, "Good to know, Tim. How long has she been enjoying your bed?" I had relative sobriety on my side. He was more drunk and enjoying his boasting. "Oh, not long after the promotional tour started." He told a lot more details. I saw her coming out of the corner of my eye, but I ignored her but wanted her to hear the following. Tim didn't know about her, so I said, "Okay, Tim, thanks for telling me that my wife is just another woman of easy virtue. Do you want to take her with you?" Her face fell when she heard this question, and she burst into tears upon hearing his answer. "Hell no, buddy, keep her. I can find someone like your wife anywhere, anytime. Sex with her isn't bad, but no more than that. What interest would I have in a cheating woman like her? No, mate, she's your problem. But thanks for borrowing her, but that's all." I heard her groan in pain and say, "No, no, no, it didn't have to be like that," as I turned to look at her, shaking my head, and then turned back to Tim. "Well, I don't want her either," I said, and hit him. The local gendarmes quickly handcuffed me and took me away, and when I looked back, I saw Cindy helping Tim and seeking medical help for him. So, like an offended husband, I hit him, but at the same time I found myself arrested. The police cannot allow members of the public to beat up famous actors. My problem is that I don't speak French, but they provided me with an interpreter, and the police questioned me in his presence. This happened at 9 a.m. after I had spent the night in the cell. Through an interpreter, the police asked what happened to make me attack the famous actor. I refused to answer and said I wanted to talk to a lawyer before answering any questions. They confirmed my right to legal representation and returned me to my cell to await contact with a lawyer. About an hour later, I was informed that my wife had come to see me, but I said that I did not want to talk to her under any circumstances. Imagine the nosy Frenchmen from the Pink Panther movies, and it was as if they had a bright idea and realized what the problem was. They told Cindy that I didn't want to talk to her and asked her to leave, and a few minutes later the policeman brought me coffee and a croissant, touched my nose with his finger and said, "Ah, mon Dieu, my friend, women, ooh la la, expressing your understanding and sympathy." 30 minutes later, two things happened almost simultaneously. A French lawyer was brought to me, and a few minutes later, a representative from Cindy's agency called, wanting to talk to me. The lawyer, Monsieur Philippe Leblanc, invited us to listen to what the agency had to say, and he got the police to agree to a private meeting. I agreed. I needed help getting out of here. I also wanted an update on Tim and his intentions. The agency sent a deputy director, Peter Longstaff. Anyway, I met Peter briefly at a few company events, and he seemed like a nice guy. I waited for him to start talking. "What a damn mess, Jeff. I'm guessing you had no idea anything was going on between them," Peter asked. I shook my head. "I had no idea until I saw them coming back from the beach yesterday, Peter. I never thought she was capable of such a thing. Although we were solid as a rock, did your people know?" "I'll be honest, Jeff, because you have my sympathy. Some people thought they knew, but only very late in the game, just before we all came here to this mess. Unofficially, and only in person, I'm very, very sorry, Jeff." "Yes, Peter was a good guy." "Damn it, Jeff. Do you have any idea what you want to do in a perfect world?" "Yeah, I'd like to kill them both and move on, but I guess that won't happen anytime soon." "What are you going to do with Cindy? Can you make peace with her?" "Absolutely no chance, Peter. I'll divorce her and try to ruin her and him if I can. I have no beef with you, Peter, but I'm pretty sure a good lawyer at home will take it on my side, and if they offer bankrupt the agency, then I'm sorry, but the agency cannot shirk some responsibility in this, you know that." Peter looked at me and said, "Okay, Jeff, that's what I thought. So, we all have our own interests here. You need to get out of here. We need to keep this a secret. Tim doesn't want to. In order for even more people to know that he got his face punched, he must be an action hero, damn it." He continued, "He's not pressing charges, so no prosecution. The politicians here don't want their precious festival to be dragged into the mud, so you're free to go. You can tell your lawyer he's no longer needed. Will that be okay?" The lawyer left with a formal handshake and a promise from Peter that the agency would pay his bill if he sent it to the address on Peter's business card. "So, Jeff, now to the real deal. Are you going to get a divorce? No chance for a second chance? I mean, I wouldn't blame you, but I'll tell you, this girl loves you. She just lost her way because of an infatuation with a famous actor. I can tell you that she will be desperate. I really hope she gets destroyed by this Peter. Right now, I hate her to the core. She gave it pompous. The little bastard was all she had. If what he boasted to me was true, he got from her something I never got. Okay, I understand what you're saying, Jeff. I'm going to put pressure on her to give you everything you want in the divorce. We'll convince her that she'll be embarrassed and out of a job if she doesn't do what she's told. And Jeff, I will propose that the board agree to pay you significant compensation in exchange for a non-disclosure agreement about all of this. With your consent, Jeff, I will release you from here and send you home on the first flight. Is that okay?" I nodded in agreement as he continued, "Please trust me, Jeff. I will make sure you come out of this as best as possible. Sorry, I know it sounds stupid, but as best as possible. I give you my absolute word. We don't know each other that well, but I think you know that I'm a man of my word. One more thing, Jeff. Cindy asked me to beg you to talk to her. She doesn't know what I'm planning, but will you talk to her before your flight this evening? Peter, you're the good guy about all of this, but please tell her those exact words. Promise me this." He nodded that he would do it. "Tell her she's a disgusting, cheating bitch, and I never want to see her face again. Never." "Oh God, I'm so sorry it turned out this way, but yes, I will give her your exact words. She will react the way you hope she will, broken, but Jeff, I know it's her fault. Let me contact you when we get back next week, and I'll bring you the best offer I can get from the council, and I can convince Cindy that she has no other options. I'll release you and take you back to the hotel I'll call in advance and make sure she's not in your room when we arrive and personally take you to the airport for your first flight home." And just like that, a little over 15 hours passed and my marriage fell apart. I felt only pure anger and hatred towards Cindy and that bastard Tim for what they had done to me. Another 15 hours later, I was home and my house felt very empty without Cindy. I knew we would never get back together again. I wouldn't stay here to live with my memories. I was going to destroy her in the divorce, so I knew she would never be able to afford the rent, so it was on my to-do list to notify the owner that we will vacate his place. I knew she would be in France for almost another week, so I had all the time in the world to sort out my banking, savings, checking accounts, credit, and debit cards. Keeping myself busy gave me less time to feel the agony of betrayal and to figure out what I wanted in a divorce. Because as good a guy as Peter Longstaff was, I needed to make sure everything was going to work out for me. Days passed, and soon I received a call from Peter who wanted to come and talk to me, and he brought an offer from the counsel and lawyer to hopefully have everything finalized and ready for a quick, uncontested divorce. We met in my office, and he brought the lawyer, a sweet woman named Jeannie O'Battle, or Jeannie in the bottle in my mind. From Sue, Grab It, and Ran, I quickly realized that she had a sharp mind and any resemblance to a cartoon character was completely wrong. She was sharp as nails. Mr. T. Smithers, I want you to know that the agency that I represent in this agreement or negotiation deeply regrets its role in the destruction of your marriage, and I am authorized to make you a very significant offer. But this is on the strict condition that you voluntarily sign a non-disclosure agreement. In fact, they pay you. I know Peter promised you something like this, so here is the draft agreement. I understand that your father was a lawyer. Please show this to him or anyone you want to present it to. But unless there is 100% confidentiality, we will call you back all proposals and destroy your wife, leaving her to fight you tooth and nail in a messy divorce. This is not a threat. It is a communication of information that you need to weigh in deciding your course of action. I believe Peter has put together an excellent proposal. Please look carefully and feel free to show it to anyone for consultation, but as I said, in strict confidentiality. Peter and I can spend as much time as you need today. I believe you will be pleased with much of the proposal. I can also tell you that the current Mrs. Smithers is aware of her limited options and is willing to follow my recommendations with one condition. I won't beat around the bush, and that is that you give her access to talk to you for no more than an hour. I advised her that this is pointless. You don't want to have anything to do with her, but this is her condition. She hopes to persuade you to have a future with her. I said loudly, "No, I don't want to see her or talk to her. I'm done with her." Peter, did you tell her the exact words I asked you to convey? Peter said, "Yes, Jeff, your exact words," I told her. Jeff, she cried like a baby. She was heartbroken, just like you wanted. However, I have to tell you, Jeff, I think someone hit her to the head with a blunt object because she was just quietly muttering. We'll see. I think she's dangerously delusional, Jeff. I'm afraid for her sanity. She repeated it over and over again. Jeff looked at Peter. He seemed to be devoid of any feelings. He didn't care any more about Cindy. He was so angry that hate was his emotion. He clearly hadn't realized yet that hate is not the opposite of love. It's just a very damaged love, probably forever damaged, but the fire is not yet extinguished. The raw emotion was still there, no matter how devastated or disgusted he felt. Jeff was about to say that he would convince her to give it up or leave these negotiations and unleash hell on all sides, but Ginny spoke first. Jeff, if you are so sure that you want to be free of your wife, if you are sure that you want to continue this way, then you should give her an hour at most. In my opinion, you can destroy her hopes in 5 minutes, but if she is persistent and it'll take an hour, then you'll never be in the same room with her again. Thinking about it, it didn't sound that difficult, and that would be it. He decided to read the proposal and come back to it with a final decision about meeting the cheater. Jeannie handed him a written proposal. It was not formally drawn up as a legal document. Rather, it was a list of key points, a framework around which the legal text would be formulated, agreed upon, and signed. Agreement between the agency and Mr. Jeff Smithers. In exchange for signing a non-disclosure agreement on the agreed version of this proposal, the agency will pay Mr. Smithers $5 million as compensation for the stress caused by the client and the agency employee. The agency offers this payment as a full and final settlement of any claims due to the actions of the above-mentioned individuals. Agency client called Tim wants it to be known that he regrets drunkenly attacking you with details of his seduction of your wife and asserts that he will unequivocally make no claims against you for the physical harm you caused him and acknowledges that he deserved at least what you gave him. With respect to the current Mrs. Smithers, Cindy Smithers, the agency will continue to employ her and will compensate her for the loss of her share of the joint assets so that she can support herself without financial claims on Jeff Smithers. Mrs. Smithers confirmed that she would cooperate in a quick divorce based on irreconcilable differences, provided that she was allowed 1 hour maximum to speak with Jeff Smithers about the reasons for the divorce. The meeting must take place no later than 2 weeks before the divorce court date. It's not very complicated, Jeff. We can all complicate it, but all parties can understand the point of not making drama out of it. The fact is, there are no winners here except you financially, even though you lost your wife. In a moment of epiphany, Jeff realized that he could not ask for more than he was being offered. He did not need advice. He even decided that, yes, he would meet with the cheater for an hour, but he told her to be warned that he would not make it comfortable for her, and that she probably wouldn't last 10 minutes, and to be told that she could call his office and he would meet her as soon as she wanted to finish this. Cindy called to meet Jeff at his office, but was denied access and told to schedule an appointment via intercom. She was told that Jeff would give her one agreed date and no more, accept or decline. The next day, she arrived 5 minutes early and was made to wait until 3 p.m. struck before she was ushered inside. She tried to go to Jeff to hug him, but he raised his hand and said, "Don't touch me, say what you came to say and get out." He was shaking with rage. She had been warned. Her eyes wet with tears, she said, "Oh, Jeff, what have I done? Is your heart so hardened that you can't handle a little affection? We've been in love for 9 years, Jeff. I'm your wife. I love you. Please." "Jeff, I was a stupid girl, infatuated with a famous actor. I know what I did was wrong and selfish." "Cindy, what do you think is going to happen here? I don't love you anymore. Didn't Peter tell you what I asked him to tell you? He relayed what you said. It was very hurtful, but I know you were angry, and you actually love me. We are meant to grow old together, Jeff." "Cindy, are you crazy? You betrayed me in the worst possible way. Cindy, and I am divorcing you. I disgust you." "Please, Jeff, I'm begging you. I was stupid, but I love you with all my heart. Please give me another chance." "You're disgusting to me, and you know what? You heard me tell you to leave him because I don't want you, and you heard him throw you away like you were nothing. You heard him say that he could find someone like you anywhere, anytime. You understand, don't you? You mean nothing to him." "Jeff, it's not fair. You agreed to give me an hour to talk about our marriage, and you just yell at me and—" Something inside me broke. I had never felt such rage, such betrayal, and for what? I wanted to hurt her badly, while she was still cherishing the unrealistic dream that we will stay together. Even as my hatred grew, I felt the burning pain of the love I felt for her, and the conflict seemed so strong that it could kill me. "Get out, I hate you." She burst into tears in pain and ran out the door. A few months later, I saw her again in court. The lawyer contacted me and said that she blames me for not giving her the full hour, but she understands that we have no chance of staying together and wants to be able to conclude the conversation after the final divorce decree is entered. Eventually, it would be done, and there would be nothing more to discuss. Let her have the remaining half hour if she wanted. That's why I showed up to get the final order. That was all I owed her. Everything else was settled. Life had to go on, but at first, I didn't feel like I owed her anything, but it would make things easier. Over the past months, the rage has gone away, replaced by the sad realization that what was once the most important thing in my life is now almost nothing. I often drank too much to quell my occasional regrets about leaving her. Some very good friends were talking to me about reconciliation. We were so good together. They loved us as a couple. Maybe kids would take us back to how we were before Tim ruined everything between us. Can't I give her another chance? Does she really love me with all her heart? So much nonsense. I never knew if they were doing it at her request or just trying to be our friends. Almost everyone seemed sincere. Every one of them annoyed me, so I let a few very close friends spread the word that anyone who mentioned Cindy, it would be polite to ask me to get out of my life. That's what some of our best friends did, you see. They didn't like how cold and callous I had become. So, after all these months, I was led into a side room in the courthouse where Cindy stood alone. She looked as beautiful as ever, but those who knew her as well as I did could see that she was just as damaged as I was. She was dressed like she was going to a funeral, and in a way it was appropriate. It was the funeral of our marriage. His last rites had been read, he was buried, it was all done and over. Now for the polite conversation that people have in mourning. We got rid of the hatred, at least I did. She got rid of the hope she held. There was nothing left to fight or discuss. So, "Hi Cindy, you look good. How are you?" It was better, Jeff, but I went to a counselor for months. People told me it would help, but in fact, I lost the husband that I loved and still love. It just made me see clearly how stupid I am. The woman I was, chasing a famous actor, giving him what I never gave to the only person I ever loved, my loving husband. It's too little, too late, Jeff, but I'm truly ashamed of the pain I caused you. I would like nothing more than to take away this pain and replace it with the love that I hold in his heart for you, who will always be with me. Jeff, I have no right to expect anything from you. It was a simple betrayal, and for a person who thought I was as useless as you are now, you find me, it hurts. It really hurts, but I made this mess, and I have to live with it. I wanted to see you one last time. I wanted to make some kind of peace with you, to tell you that I'm not going to live without sex, but I will keep my love for you for life, and if you ever decide that has value for you, I will gladly keep it her for you. If you ever want her again, well, all you have to do is ask for her return. And Jeff, I won't hold my breath. I know we're done, but this is the only way I can see my life now. I had no doubt about the sincerity of her words. Everything was over. Any other explanation would have made no sense. It would be so easy to go over and hug her, try to love her again, give her a chance, like our friends seem to think I should. But no, that won't happen. I knew that her employers appreciate her more. I knew she was good at her job, and if anything, she became more valuable to them now, not a burdened husband. She will regularly find herself in the same situation that led her to treason. We had no future. For what we once had, without malice, with acceptance of the reality of dead, but remaining love, I could be generous one last time. Cindy, because it's hard to repay the love you once held so strongly for someone, I'll tell you this. For the sake of your own sanity, don't hold on to that love. I'll never get it back, and I don't want it from you. Carry on. Live your life, and don't look back at me. Live a good life, Cindy. She came to me, and this time I couldn't push her away. We hugged tenderly, like cousins. She whispered softly, "I'm really sorry for what I did to us, Jeff." Then she turned and slowly walked out of the room, never looking back. And it was for the best that she didn't look back, because she would have seen tears rolling down my face uncontrollably. I knew the love of my life was finally gone. This is what I thought I wanted because I could never trust her again, but it felt like someone had turned off the light in my heart. It felt like a dark, cold, and lonely place. Perhaps it was time for me to seek the counseling my remaining friends said would help me recover. I finally cast her out, drove a stake into the heart of our marriage, and trampled on what was left. It's time to move on. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. Click to the next one.